I made my first seven-figure sales year when I was 6 months pregnant with my first baby in 2021, and it was a very exciting time. In today's video, I want to talk to you about 3 things that I did and did not do to reach that stage and to achieve this big goal. If you're new here, so am I. My name is Leah Gervais, and this is my first YouTube video in 6 years or something like that. So I'm excited to be here with you, and if you like and subscribe, it would mean so much to me. I know what it feels like when you're just one in a sea of the internet. You wonder if it really makes a difference, but it really, really does. Though I am new-ish to YouTube, I am not new to online business. In 2026, it will be 10 years since I started my online business, which started as a blog. I started it as a quarter-life crisis. I thought I wanted to go to law school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Really kind of poured my heart out on the internet. And 10 years later, I have turned into a business coach that teaches people all about how they can grow their online business based off of those fundamentals I learned growing that blog all those years ago. When I was 28, I set the goal for myself to hit a 7-figure sales year. Up until then, I had been doing 6-figure years for quite some time, and I was really excited and comfortable with it, but I really knew that I was made for more. I never really wanted to stay in the 6-figure range. It was something I was finally able to achieve when I was pregnant, which was extra exciting and really felt like a full circle girl boss moment. So let's talk about the 3 things that really made a difference, as well as 3 things I did not do, but I often see people think they need to do or should do so that you can get to your 7-figure goals as well. The first thing I did do to hit this goal was that I did try multiple times and I did fail multiple times. When I finally had that month in which I realized that I was officially a 7-figure business owner and that I had crossed that 7-figure sales mark within 12 months, it was, I think, the 3rd time or so that I had tried. In fact, I was 29 at the time when it happened, but a few months before, when I was 28, I really was working on manifesting hitting this goal by my 29th birthday. I had this blue bikini that I envisioned myself wearing when I would hit this goal because I dreamed of taking my husband and I to the St. Regis in Bal Harbour in Miami and wearing this blue bikini and sitting on the beach and toasting and celebrating the fact that I had done this, and I had done this by the age of 29. I had it all visualized in my head. I thought about it frequently, and I really, really worked to make that goal happen. And I was about $200,000 short when I actually did it. I had made around $800,000 in sales up until that point. My 29th birthday looked wildly different. I was about 8 weeks pregnant at the time. I did not envision myself being pregnant at the time of crossing this mark. And I did have that blue bikini, but instead of celebrating my success and my victory, I spent my 29th birthday in the bed at the St. Regis Hotel, eating cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, incredibly sick in my first trimester of pregnancy. In a sense, it was its own celebration, but I did not hit the goal. And that was okay. I still took myself out for my birthday. I still celebrated. My life was still good. But I think it's really important to normalize that most of us don't hit these big goals the first time we do them. And in fact, I think it's because I tried so many times and because I set myself up and my business up to be in a position where this could feasibly happen so many times that it became inevitable. So if you have a big goal, continue to work as if you are right on the path to do it. And eventually your business will have no choice and it will just naturally happen that it will fall into place and that goal will manifest because you have set up the systems, the structures, and you've done the work to make that goal happen, even if it doesn't happen the first time that you do it. Now let's talk about the first thing I did not do that I see people do and talk about all the time is care about passive income. Instead, I just focused on doing the work. If you follow me on social media, you probably know that I have a passive income system that I use and I love. It's changed my life and I teach it. And I think it's a very powerful tool for moms, but it is not the 7-figure vehicle. I didn't even look at this until I had already made millions of dollars. And the reason for that is that passive income, while passive, isn't really going to make you millions of dollars on its own. And this is true for pretty much any passive income formula or way of using passive income. It's the same thing in the stock market. Even if you're going to make millions of dollars from index funds, that's because you've already invested multi-millions of dollars that you had to somehow figure out how to make. When you're really working on those initial wealth targets on your first 7 figures, definitely on your first 6 figures, don't get caught into this allure of passive income being the way to get there. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty and do the work and sometimes stay up late, cancel plans, and hustle a bit. I really think our hustle culture, our anti-hustle culture, I should say, has gone completely too far in the other direction. And I will say that though I was very dedicated to doing the work and though I did not care about passive income when I was hitting this goal, I don't remember ever really feeling burnt out. I've never identified with the phrase, I want want to burn it all down. I've enjoyed my business. Has it been hard? Of course, but it has always been worth it to me because I knew that I had these big goals, and the lifestyle it has given me is literally insane. The fact that I can live in New York City with my 2 young children and be with them most of the time while running this business is something I never could have even dreamed for myself. And I've always been a big dreamer. So I get messages from people every single day, particularly mothers, that want to make more money and that want to build their businesses out and they want more passive income. And I really encourage you, if you're working toward your first 7 figures, to pick one or the other and own which one is more important to you at the time. Is it more important for you to have a passive stream of income, which yes, gives you more time freedom and yes, gives you more leverage, but will probably not make you millions in this moment? Or do you want to get your income up, and are you willing to do a bit more of active work and actually put in the time and hours it takes so that you can see those financial goals through? All right, back to the things I did do to hit it. The second thing on this list is that I did perfect my offers before I created new ones. Another fallacy that people believe is that they think in order to grow, you have to continue to create new things. And I've even seen this genre of coaching on the internet that encourages you to create a new program every month. I cannot disagree with this more. I do not understand how anyone can put out a high quality product every single month unless you have a huge team behind you, which I don't think many of them do. But even if you do, you are then eating your entire profit margin because you're paying this team. It makes no sense to me. The reality is the programs that got me to 6 figures, which for me were primarily a group program called Scale Your Side Hustle, a mastermind that was a bit more high level that I still host to this day, and one-on-one coaching. Those were really the staples that got me to 7 figures as well. I continued to refine them. I continued to perfect the delivery of them. I built out teams around them. I was able to increase the pricing around them. I got great testimonials with them. I got better at launching them. More people came in, and they are what scaled me to 7 figures. And I really believe it's because I let myself focus on those things. So I really recommend sticking to the few products or services you have, as long as they have some sense of scalability, to get you to 7 figures instead of creating new ones all the time. In fact, I can tell you the story of the moment I realized that I had crossed the 7-figure mark, or that I was about to actually. I was around 5 months pregnant at the time. It was right before it happened. And I went out to dinner, my husband and I, with 2 friends. And on the way back from dinner, being pregnant, I decided to stop at the bakery and get a few cookies. I remember checking my phone and checking my email and realizing that 3 different clients had told me they wanted to re-sign for when I came back from maternity leave prematurely. Now, having these sales locked in before I even had my baby and so early is what was really able to easily push me over that 7-figure mark within that 12-month span. But what I really want to pull out here is that this didn't come from any big launch. This didn't come from any big release of something. This came from current clients wanting to re-sign because they were happy with the product, they were happy with working with me, and they were happy with the delivery. So pour into what you currently have. Pour into your current clients, pour into your current team, pour into your current products and services, because growing them and having high retention and having testimonials and having people speak your praises for you is what will make this so much easier on you. I will never forget walking home with that cookie in hand and my pregnant belly realizing I was about to make $1 million within 1 year. It was magical. Back to the list of things I did not do to hit this goal, and this one's going to ruffle some feathers, but it needs to be said. I did not take time off. Again, this is kind of alluding to my thoughts on this anti-hustle culture. I believe it has gone too far. I worked hard. There's really no way around it. For that year, I put in the hours, I put in the time, and I really had to put in my own personal development because it was a very lonely year, honestly. There was really no one around me that I was connecting with as I was working toward those goals. I did end up hiring a business coach right as I was about to do it. I'll talk about that in just a second. But it was pretty much just me working toward this consistently. This doesn't mean I worked every weekend, and it also doesn't mean I didn't have any fun in my life. Like I had mentioned, I've never really related to these entrepreneurial woes of burnout and burning it all down and wanting to run away from my business. I've always loved my business. So I believe if you can stay in alignment and you can stay focused on your goals, you're a lot less susceptible to burnout. I think burnout is more about discontent with what you're doing, a lack of support, not really believing in what you're doing, far more so than how many hours you work or how much time you put into it. And the reality is, during that time, there was probably not one day that I did not work even just a little bit, even if it was just creating a piece of content or sending out an email or answering client emails for my business pretty much every day, even on vacation and even on the weekends. Now, things were a little tougher during my first trimester of pregnancy because I was so sick. But even then, there was an element of work that I did at least a little bit every single day. And I think one of the most common misconceptions about being a business owner is you feel like, I want to own my own business because I want to have freedom. And it depends on what you define as freedom. The freedom of my time is that it's mine to decide when I work and how I work and if I work. That's true. No one else makes my schedule. Today, I have quite a bit of blank space in my calendar thanks to my passive system. However, it does not mean you have more time for yourself. You will and you should work harder than you would at a 9-to-5 job because the buck stops with you. If you feel like you're doing this to work less, business ownership might not be the right path for you. The third and final thing I did do to make my first $1 million sales year is that I didn't do it alone. I hired help. Very specifically, after that birthday story I shared where my blue bikini celebration visual instead became me trying not to throw up from the Cheesecake Factory in bed on my 29th birthday, I hired a business coach who ended up becoming a coach of mine for many years and is to this day one of my closest friends. And what I did with her was I booked a VIP day with her and I flew to her even while pregnant so that I could do this day with her because I was so committed to reaching this goal and I knew that I had tried to do it alone and it wasn't really working. I didn't believe that she had some sort of secret that I didn't know, but I needed a fresh perspective and I knew that she had helped other people get to 7 figures before. So I spent 2 days with her at her home in her hometown and let her coach me and help me see what I couldn't see in achieving this goal, which she did do. The main things we talked about were how I could increase my team so I could get a little bit of my time back. And I've always been team lean team, and I still am. I don't think it's important or worthwhile to have a huge team that eats up all your expenses, especially if you're a mother and you don't want to feel like you're parenting your team as well as your own children. But I do think that you cannot do it alone. And I feel like that is the type of thing that leads to burnout. And I also feel like that's the type of thing that leads to a lower quality of business, which no one wants, which will hurt your retention. She helped me build out my team to prepare for 7 figures. She helped me with a little bit of my messaging and my pricing. It was really just tweaking things that I hadn't been able to see on my own instead of burning everything down and rebuilding it, which I've never been a fan of. And that very much helped me. And then a few months later, I did indeed hit my first 7-figure sales year. Like I said, I ended up working with her for years to come. So I didn't do it on my own. I hired the support to help me. She even encouraged me and helped me see that having more support in my personal life, like hiring an assistant, could be very helpful to this goal. And that assistant is also still with me to this day. So don't try to do this alone. The biggest shortcut you can take is having people that have done things like this or have helped other people do this. I'm a huge fan of Ryan Serhant, and I love how he states that people who don't have mentors or coaches or people that are leading them, how do you have the audacity to think that your problems are so unique and so special that no one else can understand them and no one else can help you? It really is kind of a ridiculous thing to think about when you think of it that way. And I know that money can be an objection for people. They feel like, why should I pay for something when I can figure it out on my own? And you can, but if I had had that mindset, I don't know that I would have hit this goal when I did. And then I became a mother. I still could be working toward it to this day if I hadn't gotten serious about it and hired someone to help me then, which was by far the better investment of my time, money, and resources. The third and final thing I did not do while hitting my first $1 million sales year was I did not have a huge following. I have never been an influencer. I have never been the girl that posts every day. I absolutely loathe all the trending reels and audios and dancing in front of a camera and TikToks. I'm actually canceled on TikTok. You can go check it out if you want. It's just never been my thing. Now, do I use social media? Of course. Is Instagram a part of my business? Definitely. It's been a beautiful nurturing tool and a way for me to connect with people. I love messaging the moms that follow me. I love sharing parts of my life. There's so many things about it that it does do for my business, but I have never expected social media fame or virality or becoming an influencer to be the driving force behind my business, and I have never wanted it to. I did not decline my law school acceptances, go into tens of thousands of dollars in debt to start my business, quit my job, put myself out there for people to mock and judge me, which they have, and gone through everything else I have as a business owner to be a slave to an app on my phone that requires me to lip sync and dance that is run by a bunch of white men. It's just not what I'm here to do. So it's always been something that has been part of my business, and I do encourage you to think of it that way as well. But I also really encourage you to realize that you don't need a huge following in order to hit large revenue goals. I've had many clients who have over 100,000 followers on social media who end up hiring me because they aren't quite sure how to make the most out of monetizing that. So viral growth, being an influencer, social media content creation is a skill, and it's a good skill to have, but it is not the same skill as sales, marketing, delivery, building out a team, and understanding what it takes to run a business of which you create your own products and services. Now, one isn't better than the other. If you want to be an influencer, be my guest. There's so many wonderful things about it, but you don't need to do it in order to really make big money. And I think that that can be a big exhale for the woman who does want to make an impact and does want to have a business, but is afraid that being famous on social media is the only way to do it. It definitely is not. I hope you found this list helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, please DM me and let me know that you saw this. My handle is @LeahGervais_. Please also like and subscribe to my channel. And for more to come, tune in once a week. I will be doing this weekly. And the way you can find out the most about all the things I do is by joining my email list, going to leahgervais.com. I have tons of free downloads and podcasts and so many things you can binge and think about in order to grow your business and do so in a way that is aligned with motherhood and the vision you have for your life.